Welcome to TouchLine. I'm your host, Anthony Totera. Joined in studio now, we have the Technical Director of Aaron Mills, Josef Komlodi. Josef, thanks for joining us here on TouchLine.
Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure. Josef, let's talk a little bit about your history as an individual, where you're at now as a coach. Did you play, and where did you play, and did you coach maybe in your home country?
Yeah, I played in Hungary, I played in Germany. I got my coaching education in Germany. I have the UFA license coaching course certification. I have the USA license certification. I have the English FA sports psychology diploma. I coached in Germany as well, and this is my background. And I came to Canada in 1990. I worked with the Team Ontario program for 6-7 years before I got to the club as a technical director.
This is great to hear. Now, Josef, let's talk about, you spent time in Germany, you spent time in Hungary. You saw how the training was there in those countries compared to the training when you came here the first year that you were here in this province and in this country. What did you see that was lacking? What did you see that we needed to do better here?
When I came to the country, I think our registration was a little bit much smaller than this time, and what I missed, the club structure, what we have in Europe, in regardless which country we talk about, but it lately what's changed, and I can see there's a huge improvement in player development compared with our European clubs as well. Still actively, I'm going back to the European clubs, dealing with them, taking players to Europe. And our young players, up to certain ages, they do very well against European clubs.
Yeah, Josef, you mentioned that, and also Susan mentioned, and I've heard it from so many coaches, and I've seen it with my eyes with my son too. 14, 15, 16, I think we can compete with anyone in the world. After that, we have major problems. Why?
I think it goes back to our responsibility as a clubs. We have to change our training habit. We have to change our training attitude. We have to change our attitude to the game, how we develop, how we challenge people, how we create a new environment. When players want to be there, they want to train more, they want to show up every day if we have to. If you look at up to age 16, 17, certain countries, they run 8, 9 training sessions a week. We can compete if we don't change.
But Josef, to be honest, a lot of clubs don't have some of the real top-notch coaches like your club has. Many clubs have volunteer coaches that are learning themselves how to teach the kids as well, so it's hard.
Yes, hard, but at the same time we have some opportunities as well. I keep saying to people how to recycle coaches. Maybe it's not the right way to phrase it, but we have coaches who get into the game at age 6, 7, but the kids that are age 6, 7 years old, and they go up to age 18 after they leave coaching because the kids gave up playing the game, and suddenly we lose that quality. People actually turn into decent coaches. Yeah. And how we keep them in a game. And I use this word, how to recycle them, get them back to the game, because that people could give really good support to the game.
What I think the game needs is more ex-players like yourself, Josef, to get more involved. Players that have played in Canada professionally, in Europe, in South America, in Asia, wherever. We need that ex-player more involved. But also, Josef, I'm going to be honest with you, I think it's more important that we start paying these coaches, because a lot of times these coaches take money out of their pocket, and you know what, they do it for the love of the game. But some of these are great guys and know what to do, need to be paid as well.
Yes, it's a good point. I'm also instructor, like I'm coaching coaches, and what changed in the last 15 years, there are more and more people getting into the coaching who play the game. Not just overseas, but Canadian kids who actually grow up in a game, they play the game, and suddenly showing up to the coaches certification programs. It's really be a direct benefit for us to develop good quality Canadian coaches.
And this is right, and this is good.
Yeah, and yes, the players are the coaches. They can commit as a volunteer up to a certain limit if they don't get paid. Like if we want these coaches to get involved in a game, we have to pay them.
It's absolutely right, Josef, because at the higher levels in junior hockey, AAA, AA, there are coaches being paid, and paid very well, I might add. So having said that, it's time that the young Ontario coaches get paid as well. I don't know how and which way, but I think it is time. Josef, talk about the amount of coaches you have to deal with in your club. There must be a ton of coaches you have to deal with, house league, rep, boys, girls. It must be really a challenge on day-to-day. How do you go about doing that?
Like we have over 800 coaches we have to deal with, and how to deal with them. Yeah, we have several people who are helping. We have a very good board who committed to the program. We have a technical department we have paid coaches who are helping me to coordinate all these coaching development programs and how to help everybody. Plus, because we have our senior teams on our OSL level, OWSL level, we're using the older players, college level players who come back in the summertime. Actually, they're getting involved actively in coaching the young kids and helping the lesser developed coaches.
Joseph, talk a little bit about the behavior part of the coaches. When you talk to these coaches, I don't know if it's at the beginning of the outdoor, the beginning of indoor, do you sit down and explain to them from your club, and maybe you have it in the code of conduct for your coaches, that swearing is not permitted on the sidelines? Insulting another team's player is not allowed. Do you go about explaining this to your coaches and you tell them that there's no other way but this cannot happen or you're out?
Like, I don't know how many other clubs run the program the way we run it, but 2 times a year we have the head referee of our club. Actually, he's the head referee for the district as well. He comes and he meets with the coaches. He explains the rules, how it works, and what they have to pay, what we have to pay attention to. And from our side, we educate the coaches. We go out, we watch them, and sometimes videotape the coach how they behave. And if somebody is breaking the rules, our own rules, how they behave, how they talk to players, parents, or anybody else, we really severe on them, and we try to educate them.
And I love to hear this, Joseph. A good friend of mine who I know way back when that we had the opportunity to work together is Josef Major. He's one of your coaches now. Very proud guy, very hard worker in his game of soccer and in the game of life. He is very passionate. One thing that Joseph mentioned to me as I coached as well, which is very hard for him, is a lot of times the parents are the root of many problems when it comes to coaches really coaching the kids what they need to learn. I agree with this 100%. The good coaches, whether Josef Major or others out there, should be left alone to do what is best for the team.
It's a good point, but at the same time, I would turn the other side as well. We coaches, we are responsible for it, because it goes back to education. Everybody get a game in their mind. The coaches, the kids, every parent. And how to educate the parents when they would play the same game in their mind. And because the parents are not aware of what we say to the players, they sometimes they interact or interfere with the coach because they don't know what the hell is going on with the team. And this is why I'm personally saying to the coaches, you have to educate the parents. When you talk to the players, try to bring the parents behind the players as well. Make sure they can hear what you tell to the players, because that would diffuse many confusions.
Beautiful points, Joseph. Let's talk very quickly on a couple other things that I really don't like seeing in the game here in the province in Ontario, is specifically poaching of players, and also you see on many teams and in many clubs, not just yours, but every club has it. At a certain age, 5, 6, 7 kids from a team decide to leave because they don't like maybe the playing time, the coach, whatever the situation is. Poaching, we see a lot of times people, they do it, let's be honest out there, and that's not right as well. These things, I think, Joseph, have to be tackled head on. The sooner the better.
Yes, poaching is an issue, but at the same time it's not an issue. If we create a good program, players won't leave. Like, this is the bottom line. And the other one is, I think, right now with our long-term player development program, we're creating a new topic in the Canadian soccer, where we take the competition. Because the competition, promotion, relegation, at certain ages hurts the game, because players and parents try to go to a team when they have a winning team and they move up to the next level in the league, and it's wrong. And up to certain ages, we shouldn't have promotion relegation. We should focus on developing the player.
I agree, and I'm going to stop you there very quickly, because that's what I've always said to parents, and I don't know if you agree or not, Joseph, is as the kid gets older, the parents always want to go to a winning team. I said this to many parents, and I'll say it again. Worry about your son or daughter's development. Don't worry about how many W's you have in the column, because in the end, it comes down to your son's or daughter's development, and maybe them someday getting a scholarship or getting somewhere, not the team. I don't know, could I be wrong, or what do you think?
No, it's a very good point. Like, if we create an environment where the player would be in focus, not so much the team. Because what's wrong in our society, we focus on team results, not on player development results. And many clubs, many coaches proved, and we have success stories as well, when players ended up playing the highest possible leagues. Not just in Canada, but in all around the world.
Very well said. Joseph, let's talk about the newest addition, the newest baby in the family of Aaron Mills. You've got a team now in the Canadian Soccer League, a lot of buzz in the air from your club, as we heard from the president, Susan. How is it from your angle, coming from a technical director now, seeing that the 17, the 18, even the 16-year-old boy from Aaron Mills can actually play at this level?
Like we are thrilled. The technical people, we are thrilled with this new development because on the top we have to have a pyramid. On top of the pyramid, when the players can aim to achieve something. And I know several people said, why a minor club like us, we need to have a professional team? There are many, many reasons behind it. One is we can utilize these players, the professional players, to get back to the grassroots and coach the kids. Like all the players within our club, on a professional team, we have a job, mandatory job to work with the kids, Housley kids, rep kids, once a week, like every week during the summer season. Like it's not just create a team when we can have hopefully a good family entertainment, but we will be a direct technical result for the whole club, to having this pro team above all the other teams.
This is fantastic, Joseph, everything you said, because in the United States, this is what's happening all over the United States with youth clubs. They're starting out to get themselves at a higher level where these kids can play. Talk about some of the kids, Joseph, that have gone on to success from your club, Aaron Mills. There have been so many. You know, we talked about Ontario Cups you've won. There's been national appearances you've had. But there's got to be a few players that really stick out in your head and in the clubs that have been the jewels.
Like if we have a couple of names, just Rob Steele, who plays for Genoa. He's a goalkeeper. He's actually in the last 7-8 games.
Roberto Steele. I didn't even know that, and he's in Genoa. He's
on a first team bench already. Like he's a backup goalie. It means he's moving up. Igor Pishanyuk, under 23 national team player, played in Hungary, first division clubs. Andrew Ornok went to the US to get a scholarship, went to Hungary, played second division, went to Denmark first division, from Denmark went to Holland first division. Dave Simpson went to first Stuttgart, signed him, went to Sparta Prague, and Matthew Macri got to Vicenza, signed him. Like there are many other players who get signed by European clubs.
And this is great, and I love hearing this, because these are not only Aaron Mills boys, Joseph, these are Ontario boys, Canadian boys, that hopefully one day can wear that red jersey proudly for Canada. And you love to hear this, Joseph. Just before we let you go, Joseph, what have you seen? There's been a buzz in the air in Ontario and Canada with soccer. It's starting to change. People are starting to listen. What have you seen in the change, and what also would you like to see more of from the OSA to help out your club and yourself?
I think if you look at what's going on in the news, we talk about there's a revolution goes around in the Middle East, and same thing goes on here in soccer as well. We have a revolution, a quiet revolution. I mean, people want to have more. If you look back 10, 15 years ago, people saw the game what we had here. Today, the kid can turn on a computer and they can watch training sessions, they can watch games, and demanding a much better program from us. And the governing bodies, I know people blaming our governing bodies, they are not doing the job, but the ownership on us, the clubs. We have to improve our training program. We have to offer better development for everybody.
This is fantastic. I love hearing all this stuff. Josef Komlodi, keep up the great work at your club. Keep up the passion, but most importantly, keep doing what you're doing, because there'll be a child one day, boy or girl, that sees you in a restaurant, in a shopping mall, that'll say, thank you, Joseph. And I'm sure they've done that before. Before we let you go, give out the Aaron Mills website, so if people want to come to your club maybe and register a child, or maybe even come and watch a CSL game, give that website out.
It's AaronMillsSoccer.com.
Josef Komlodi, thanks again for joining us here on TouchLine.
Thank you
it was
very
my
much,
pleasure having you on. Keep up the great work.
Me.
A lot of kids, a lot of coaches under the umbrella of Aaron Mills. They've done a ton of work, and they continue to do a ton of work. Thanks again.
Can I say one more word?
Very quickly.
We would like to create a similar environment for the ladies as well. Like, I believe the ladies program should be supported the same way as we support the men's program.
Well, I've been, just very quickly, the biggest supporter of the Canadian women's team, internationally, nationally, locally. So many of them have gotten scholarships and done so many great things. You women out there, keep up the great work. And again, thanks for joining us here on TouchLine.